Hi guys, in this tutorial we're going to continue looking at what we've been looking at for the last 5 tutorials, and this will be the last string function that we are going to look at. So today we're going to look at Coalesce, Coalesce, Coalesce function. Okay, so this function, let me comment. This function is useful for in a situation where you don't have when you have null in your data. Null means empty, nothing. In a situation where you have nothing in some of the rows that you have, maybe some employees have not provided their email. In that situation, is going to be that record is going to be empty for that particular column. So where you have some fields in your table where there's no data, what you have there is going to be null, and null means empty. So we use Coalesce function, okay, to it is used to replace null value, that is where there's nothing, null value, with something meaningful, or maybe more meaningful. Okay, so let's do a quick selector from employees, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in the email column. Select star from employees. Oh, okay, let me remove this. So select star from employees. Now if you go through this employee ID column, which is the first column, you find out that nothing is empty. If I scroll down, nothing is empty. First name, we have 1000 first name. Last name, we have 1000 last name. And hire date, and department, gender, salary, region ID. But when you come to this email column, you see that in the first cell we have something, but look at this. No, you see, I know this is not really clear when you're looking at it, but there's nothing in this cell. Let me select, maybe, let me change this to employee ID, first name. Let me change this to first name, email. So we only want to see first name, email from employees. Okay. Now look at the first row. We have first name and we have the email. The second row as well, the third row as well. But when you get to the fourth row, Havron, he has not provided email. There is no email here. It's null. You see, it's empty. There is no data. Okay. So what is there is null, and we have a lot of that. I can just select this where email is null, so that you see we have several null in that email column where email is null. You see, we have 204 employees without email. So this is null. You can't see anything there is null. And this happens a lot. Okay. So in your report, when you are writing a query and you have this kind of column, some empty column where there is no data, you have null value in your report. That's not presentable. Okay, you might want to change it to something more meaningful. So that's where Coalesce function comes in handy. Okay, so if I want to replace all this null with something more meaningful, I'm going to use my Coalesce function. I'll remove all these and we start all over. I was just explaining to you so that you know that we have null function. Some emails are not there, so some of those records are not complete without email. But it's possible you have null value where there's nothing in your table. But in your report, you want to replace it with something. So if I want to, let's say I want to replace everywhere there is null, I want to replace it with nothing. Let's do that. So I will say select email from employees. Okay, and I will run this. Select email from employees. Let's run this. You see? And now, if you get to the fourth one, there's no record. If we keep going down to the 10th one, there's no record. Now we want to replace this by nothing. So I will use my Coalesce function and say select Coalesce, and of course by now you should know that when I use my function, I want to put the column that I want to apply that function on in parentheses like this. Okay, so select Coalesce email, comma, what do I want to replace in this email column? I want to replace null. So I'm going to say null. What do I want to replace null with? I want to replace null with nothing, so that anywhere there is null, it will change to nothing. Okay, so watch while I run this. And I'm going to remove the first line so you know I'm not running it. So select Coalesce email. Okay, what do you want to do with email? I want to change every appearance or every occurrence of null. I want to change it to nothing. So anywhere you see null, change it to nothing from employees. Let's run. Now you see when you come to the fourth one, you see it has nothing. It has replaced anywhere you see not you see it has replaced it with nothing. Employee 10, it has replaced that with nothing. When we keep moving down to 13, it has replaced it with nothing. So that we can see this side by side, let me just select email itself now. Select email, comma, call is email, then change null to nothing. Let's run this. So now we're expecting two columns, the email columns as it is and the transformed email column. Okay, good. Now you see, now here is empty, but we've changed it to nothing here. Let me filter this or maybe order this so that we can see all those. Order by email, order by email ascending. Let's see which one will work. Okay, let's do descending. I want the null to come up. Good. So now you see that all these are empty, but we have nothing. We have replaced it with nothing. You see, empty, all the null. Now we have replaced them with nothing. So I only put this email column so that we can see it side by side. Okay. So I can as well leave it and say my first name. I want to see my first name, um, maybe last name, salary, comma, then Coalesce email. Every occurrence of null in email column, replace it with nothing or maybe none. We can change this to none or empty, whatever, maybe none, and I can make this small, none. Okay, from employees, I don't need filter by email descending. Okay, so now you see, pay attention to the qualities. You see everything has changed to null. All the occurrences of null in email, you can see if you are following this last column, see everywhere we have null is because I'm ordering by um, email column descending so that we can see all the null that have been replaced by none. If I keep going down until I get to where we have data, okay, now we have email. So everywhere you are seeing null, what what we had there was null. So everywhere you are seeing null, none, what we had there was null. So we replace null with none. So that's how to use Coalesce function. So the takeaway from this tutorial is whenever you have null, that is empty, no data, is just empty. Okay. Whenever you have null in your data set and you need to replace that null value with something more meaningful, Coalesce function will do that for you. Okay. And I'm going to say this again. All these substring, the string functions that I've been looking at over the last 5 tutorials, they are not part of day-to-day query, but anytime you have a need to do some kind of transformation, just know that you have some string functions that are really handy for you to use for your data transformation. In the next tutorial, we're going to start looking at aggregate functions. Some people will call aggregate functions grouping functions. Okay, I prefer to call it aggregate functions. Okay, so we'll start looking at aggregate functions from the next tutorial, and that promises to be more interesting than string function, in my opinion. That's just my submission. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.